Hey guys, welcome to this video on basically how you can personalize images and get higher click-through rate on your emails and basically more responses, right, from your cold email outreach. So here's a problem, right? So let me actually shrink my face there a little bit. So if you do lots of cold emails, I'm sure that you've gotten a whole bunch too, right? They're boring. Like a lot of these were written by sales development reps who basically have no experience, or guys who just basically nuking everyone, right? Just copy paste the hell out of everything. And I'm sure you've gotten these emails that just makes no sense, not relevant to you. They're just missing merge tags, all kinds of stuff, right? Problem is people keep doing this over and over, and it's just like kind of annoying. It only degrades your domain reputation, your IP reputation. Basically, you're burning your email address, right? And that's not good, right? And you have low response rate, right? So I've talked to a ton of people. They seem to be okay with 1% response rate, which I don't know, it's crazy if you ask me. So ever since the beginning of email marketing, people thought about personalizing, and I'm sure you've got an email like this, right? You put a bunch of mail tags, merge tags, and then you upload a spreadsheet with your prospect, and bam, and guess what happens? Nothing happens because this is done to death, right? It's not that it's done to death, to be honest. It's a lot of people kind of abuse it, including spammers. So we can stop doing that, right? So there are things that people do which sort of do stand out, and they seem to have some effect. One of which is like if you add media content, right? Like videos, images, GIFs, stuff like that. But problem is, it's really if they didn't really opt into your email, you can't really send them these generic videos, right? Like, I mean, it's got to be very specific and relevant to that person when you're doing cold email outreach, right? You can't be sending video of your product on YouTube and then just expect them to respond, because it just doesn't make sense, right? So now imagine if you could do something like this. Imagine if you can get the prospect's attention by sending a image, right? That's super duper highly relevant to that person. Like, for example, in this picture, I'm holding a whiteboard, right? And that whiteboard eventually, I actually wrote on that image, like for the first version, and it was super effective. Like my click through rate went up. I don't know. It was like almost like triple, and I didn't really optimize or anything like that, right? And of course, if you get more clicks to your landing page or whatever it is that you're driving traffic to, or your video sales letter, which by the way is super highly effective. And if you haven't watched it, there's another video where I show you how to do this super effectively on GetSalesFox. Anyway, so I actually wrote on that whiteboard, and I wrote, "Hey John or Peter or whatever the person's prospect's name is," right? And just doing that, I mean, I didn't change anything. I didn't change the email copy. I didn't change the email subject. I didn't do anything. I just added that picture. I just added a picture of their name on there, and that just went up like crazy. So I thought, hey, like, how do you do this on a scale, right? I mean, because what are you gonna do? Just write one prospect's name for every prospect that you have, right? So this is what GetSalesFox mass email mail merge is. Basically, you upload a background image, right? In this case, I'm holding a picture of me holding a whiteboard, right? And instead of me actually writing it out, you can just tell me the text and the location of the text that you want to write, like where you want it to be written, right? And you can do an overlay play button. Like, for example, if you are sending this prospect to a landing page with a video, and if you add that video icon, actually that's another trick too. That increases your CTR like tremendously, like just unbelievable, because people actually think that's a video. I mean, I don't know if they're being tricked or not, but you shouldn't trick people, right? You should not have a video overlay and then take them to a page where there's no video. You're just tricking people, right? If you do use this, and by the way, these are tools of mass influence, right? These are like nuclear weapons. You shouldn't abuse them because it's gonna backfire on you. Anyway, so if you do have a video, do use the video overlay button icon, right? So we have a tool basically where you can upload a background image. You specify the text, right? Like, hey, John, hi, Peter, whatever it is that you want to say. And by the way, these texts should be like really short, right? Like no more than 2 words, like 3 words at max, right? You don't want to have an image with like your life, your company offering, and it's super small that the person has to squint to look at it. You don't want to do that, right? It's just to get the person's attention by being super relevant, right? Like for example, you could say, "Hey John," or "Hey Peter," well, "Hey salesperson." Well, you don't want to say that. You want to include their first name, right? But you could include their company name, for example. And you specify the overlay image if you do have one, and that's how you create this image. But how do you do this on a massive scale, right? It's very simple. We really you specify a URL with all the stuff, basically, like what image you want, what text you wanted, and like what kind of font you want to use, what color do you want to use, stuff like that. So let me actually show you how this works. So if you go over to merge.getsalesfox.com, merge.getsalesfox.com, right? So basically, I have an image like this. Let me show you what this image looks like. So I have an image like this image, right? I'm just holding holding a whiteboard, right? There's nothing on there. And let me just upload that, right? Let me just click on the upload. And then that uploads that file. What the fuck happened? Oh, that's weird. Sorry for my cursing. I don't know what happened there. So now as I uploaded, right? And let me move my face over here. And the text is like, "Hey, Mr. Prospect." Well, you don't want to say, "Hey, Mr. This." You want to be formal. You want to be direct, but without being sort of like too, I guess, too courteous. I guess again, that's the right word. Hey, let's say this dude's name is my name. Hey, Taylor, what's going on? So this picture, so the XY width and height. Basically, X is like how many pixels from the top, okay, and Y is how many pixels from the left. Width is like how wide do you want the text to be, and height is how high do you want the text image to be. So you kind of have to know your image dimensions. If you upload to if you upload to GetSalesFox, basically if you click on the image, it tells you the 12. I don't know if this shows on your page, but if you go to your does it tell you? Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to know your dimensions. It's super easy. If you just drag drop to your browser, it will tell you, like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the browser will tell you like how big it is. So let's say I want this to be like, this picture is about 1280 by 720. So I want it to be like 500, maybe 300, right? I want 300 from the left, and about maybe 400 down. So actually, let me just do x, y equals 0, 0. You just say that I want x to be 0, y to be 0. Let's just say leave everything as is, right? And just click on generate URL. So what that does is this image, let me move my face over here, generated this image with my background image, right? And it wrote using handwritten fonts, right? Like handwritten font looking things, to actually write the text, right? So there are different kinds of fonts you can use. These are the ones that we aggregated that seem to have the most sort of human looking fonts. But we have this cool feature. It's called AI written fonts. So if you specify which font, like let's say AI style 1, for example, and you click on generate view, this actually we use. Oh, this is so small. Let me make this bigger. Let me make this like 500 width. These fonts are actually written by AI, so you can refresh. but the fonts will never be the same. They will always be different, like slightly, right? Like you can actually, if you want drastic changes, you have to change the AI style font. So you can, you see, I don't know if you can, let me make this bigger. Let me actually put this in the right location. 300, 400. Yeah, that's probably a better location. Okay, maybe 450, but you get the idea, right? X is location from top left, so from the left, and the Y is number of pixels from the top. Okay, so yeah, the 450 is good, but I want to make this larger, 800 pixels. So you have to play around because these fonts, it's kind of like shifting stuff, like, so you have to play around. I'm not sure what is the most optimal for your picture and stuff, so you kind of have to play around with these parameters. So height is, you can just leave height alone, unless you want to kind of like squinty looking fonts, but you can just do that. But you notice, like you see this font here, if I generate again, if I use the AI fonts, they will never be the same because they're written by AI. So it was trained over many tens of thousands of handwritten text. So the AI kind of knows how to like write stuff. But there are certain fonts, there are certain letters that the AI cannot sort of replicate. For example, like Q, X, what are the other ones? These rarely used basically letters. If your prospect's name is like, hey, QTI X underscore, like if you have these sort of non, like if you have sort of like non-normal, non sort of standard English names, it will basically revert back to one of these fonts. Okay, so if you don't want to use those fonts, if you don't want to use AI fonts, you just set that to 0. Sorry, set that to none, right? And you can just play around with these fonts, like this one, and different fonts have different like sizes and stuff. So you might want to. Oh wait, yeah. So you kind of have to play around and see what works the best for you for that specific settings. Yeah, so this one is a little small. So like this one, let's say I want this to be red. We have different colors. If you have a black background, you might want to use a white color, right? And so let me just go. So the black text. Okay, now I want a red text, and I want to do an overlay. And you can play around with these different play buttons. Let's say you want the red one. This is the sort of the YouTube looking overlay. Okay, this has to be larger. This is play button width specifies how big the button you want it to be. So you get the idea, right? Now you have this image, right? You have this image. Now if you just copy this image, right? If you copy here and then, I don't know if you guys can see. Anyway, if you click on this image and then you open a new tab and then you just press enter. Now this image is here. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because all these parameters that you specified is actually in the URL, okay? This URL, it tells you like where to get the image, what text you want it, and how to basically compose this thing, right? So you're wondering like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, let me show you this example, right? So let's say you have this background image, right? So you have this spreadsheet, okay? And you have a spreadsheet and you have a prospect's name, right? You have Peter, John, Steve, I don't know, something like that, right? So, and you have this background image, right? This background image is that, right? So what you can do is if you paste these two, right? And you want to say like, hey John, right? Hey Peter, hey Steve, right? You can do concatenation. Do you guys know concatenation? So if you open Google Spreadsheet, right? There's this thing called concatenate, which says you just concatenate some string with another string from some cell, right? So this one I want to say, hey, right? Hey, sorry, I can't type today. Hey, and the name of the prospect right here is B3, okay? The reason why this is cool is because now you can just drag drop, right? You can just drag drop, like if you have like bunch of names, right? You can just do this. I mean, if this is not new to you, sorry for belaying the point. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because you see this merge data. If I scroll down over here, if you specify all these URLs, right? You want to do one at a time because let's say you have tons and tons of prospects. You want to generate one for each and every one, right? All these guys. So all you have to do is do concatenate and then specify the URL and tell me what text you want and what image you want, basically. And if I just scroll down, now what you effectively done is, let me just punch that one in. It basically, now Steve, one for Steve. You've basically merged everybody in your spreadsheet, basically, right? So that's how you can scale this by just literally copying the URL and then just tell me the names. And you can stick this into Gmail, right? You can stick this into Gmail where you have, okay, where you have, right? Like you can go over here. You can insert image. Where's the image button? Yeah, right. You can just insert this image. And now, guess what? You can mass merge everybody, right? So this is exactly how you can generate customized images using this tool. I mean, and if you have the play button here, right, and then you actually link this out, I mean, you're gonna get like super high CTRs. Now, response rate, that's different topic, right? I mean, I'm assuming you're selling something that people want. That's a different topic, but you will get much higher click-through rate, and you will get, actually, to be honest, you will get higher response rate. Like if people, they see that you actually took time to, get to know who they are and generate the stuff, then it's really super cool, right? And here's another thing too. You can actually let me show you this tab. You can actually change the background, right? So suppose you sell, I don't know, let's say you sell to hospitals, right? This picture is a picture of a hospital, I think. Yeah. Say you sell to a hospital, right? And you sell to, I don't know, factories. And this one is what? You sell to homeowners, right? You can actually change the background, right? And you can just have also, you can just specify like where do you want it to write, and if you want to change color and stuff like that. If you look at the URL, you notice you can actually change the background image, you can change the text. These are some random ones I generated. Let me see how these look, right? So, hey John, I wrote white text on this image. This one is red, hey Steve. So this one wrote hey Steve. And this one is the homeowner, hey Pam. Hey Pam. So you get the idea, right? So you can mail merge text directly onto the images of your choice. Now let me talk about some ideas, right? So now you get the idea, right? Like how you can do tons and tons of these images very quickly. So here are some ideas. Now, I've seen people do logos. It's not that effective because if I see my logo, it's not like I'm like super, up for joy and super excited to talk to you, right? Better one is like if you use people's websites, like screenshots of their websites or their news, like some kind of a PR article, like if they raise funding or something like that, or their LinkedIn actually, like it's that's pretty effective as well. Or their social media, or if they got coverage on some famous news outlet or something like that, those are really effective, right? Because it shows that you took the time to understand who they are, what they do, how you can solve their problems, yada yada, right? Another one is faces. This one I say use a bit of caution because I know you can get people's faces on LinkedIn, but you're treading sort of, it's effective. I'll tell you, it is super effective, but you're treading sort of dangerous waters. If you get pictures from other than LinkedIn, I would be worried because they're gonna ask you, where'd you get that photo from, right? You don't want to do that. Another great one is actually real estate location. This is if you're in real estate, obviously, or if you sell to homeowners. Like you can actually download pictures of people's homes and use it directly. Like I've seen people, real estate investors that say, "Hey, I'm interested in buying your house," and they post a picture of their face. They will put like this round photo, like I have right here, right? And they'll have it stick it right next to like the image of their own house, right? And they'll say like, "Hey, Mr. Smith, I want to buy your house at 22 blah blah in downtown somewhere," right? Or I've seen people use like flags. Um, I don't know if this is effective, but it's a little quirky, but it's effective. I can tell you, it's if your target market isn't like the most tech savvy people, this can work really well. So one caveat I want to sort of leave before I go is that these are tools of mass influence, right? You want to be effective. So one of the sort of the most effective ways to use these is actually combine them, right? Like you want to have your face with their face, and you want to have like a YouTube logo, YouTube play, like sorry, video play logo on there or something like that. Um, so that is effective. Now the problem is when you get too creepy, right? Like when you go a little too overboard, right? There is a fine line being effective and creepy. So with that said, now I know what what these tools are capable of. Go ahead and play with it. I mean, it's free. You guys can go crazy with it. There might be some issues, there might be bugs. We are constantly improving it, so we do take feature requests. Just if you have an issue or if you have a bug, just click on the contact us button, and then we'll reply, and we'll make it better. Anyway, so that's the feature that we have. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to leave it in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.